Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Becoming an LeTourneau Student for Dual Credit students. By this point, you've been accepted, you're registered for classes, and all the big stuff is taken care of. So today we're talking about all the little things that can help you succeed as you navigate your time as a dual credit student at LeTourneau. All right, I've got 6 short topics I'm talking about today, so let me break it down for you. We're talking about your student ID, accessing your grade report, dropping classes, updating your FERPA disclosure settings, making a transcript request, and accessing Canvas. As always, feel free to jump around the video as needed. So here we go. All right, first up, your student ID number. This is an important number to remember, obviously, but if you forget it, I want to show you where to find it. So let's go to my.letu, my.letu.edu, where we've been working with. Log in with your LeTourneau account and head over to the Dual Credit tab. On the left side, there's a link that says My ID Number. So I'm going to click that, and here we see my number. Keep in mind that this number does not change for as long as you're a student at LeTourneau. It's always going to be the same number. So if you ever need to call the help desk, like the information technology help desk, they will require your ID number. So that's it. That's your ID number. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about grade reports. Grade reports have a myLETU page in the sidebar, just a little bit farther down past the ID number page. It's called My Grade Report. So in myLETU, you can see letter grades for each class you take at 2 important times during the semester. Now, I'm not talking about grades for individual assignments. We'll talk about that at the end of this video when we talk about Canvas. What I'm talking about here is midterm grades and final grades. So about halfway through the semester, you'll see a letter grade for each class that indicates the grade you're making right then. And then when the semester is over, this is where you'll see your final official letter grade for each class, all right? So when it's time to check your grades, head over to this page, My Grade Report, pick the term, and then view Final Grade Report or view Midterm Grade Report. Hit one of those buttons. In some cases, you may see a letter that's not A through F, and they have a couple different meanings. So if that happens to you, there's a chart below the grades, below the report buttons, that tells you what each of those other letters mean. So that's how you check your final grades and midterm grades. Okay, dropping a class. There may come a time, for whatever reason, that you might need to drop a class that you're taking. If that happens, I want you to know how to do that and give you some important information on when to do that, because timing matters a lot with this one. So first things first, remember all the way back to when you were registering for classes, you did that in the other system called Dual Enroll. Now that you're enrolled though, we're done working with Dual Enroll, so dropping classes is gonna happen here in myLETU, along with everything else we've been talking about, okay? So to start that process, go back to the Dual Credit tab in myLETU and look for the Dual Credit Drop Request Form button in the sidebar, a little ways down the list. The first message on this page is about timing. You can and should always check the full academic calendar for specific dates. That's on the LeTourneau website. And you can also get there to the link here in the first paragraph. Click here for academic calendar. But here's the quick version of how it works. If you drop a class within the first 2 weeks of the semester, you can get a full tuition refund. After that, you can get an 80% tuition refund during the 3rd week of classes, and no refund if you drop after the 3rd week of class, okay? After submitting the drop request form, contact the student accounts department to request your tuition refund if applicable. There's a link to the refund policy also on this page for you, okay? Besides timing though, the other important thing to understand about dropping a course is that changes you make to your schedule may impact your high school graduation requirements. So we really recommend that you work with your high school counselor or the person who oversees your academics if you're considering dropping or withdrawing from a course, so that you can make an informed decision together. Neither dropping nor withdrawing from a course will have an impact on your GPA if you drop within the posted dates on the academic calendar. So always check the academic calendar to make sure you know what's going on, okay? All right, FERPA, let's talk really quickly about that. If you remember from previous videos, FERPA stands for the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, and it's all about what information about your education at LeTourneau can be released or cannot be released to people that you designate, like your parents. You already made a decision about your FERPA disclosure when you were applying to take dual credit classes way back in Dual Enroll, but if for any reason you want to change those settings once you're already enrolled, you can do that through myLETU. So once again, go to the Dual Credit tab in myLETU and look for the FERPA page link in the sidebar. It's a little ways under the drop request form. And I'm not going to go through this in detail because we discussed it before in those earlier videos, but if you need a refresher, I'm including a link to that part of the earlier video here as well. Just know that this is where you'll change those settings if you really want to. not in dual enroll, because remember, we're done using dual enroll now that your registration is complete, okay? Transcript requests. All right, last two short sections. You can order official secure transcripts containing your complete academic record through a link in my.letu. You know the drill. We're looking at the dual credit tab, and in the left sidebar, look for LeTu TOD transcripts. Just know that LeTourneau will not release your transcripts until your account is paid in full and your final grades have posted. So you can find the final grade post date on the academic calendar. So if you go to order your transcripts and one of those things is not true, you either haven't paid your full bill or it's not past the final grade posting date, that's why you're not seeing them, okay? But once they're ready, this is where you would go to order those, okay? All right, and final section, Canvas. When I mentioned in the grade report section of this video that we'd talk about how to find your individual assignment grades, this is what I was talking about. And Canvas is not just a digital grade book, it's also your hub for assignments, syllabi, instructor information, and much more. You can get to Canvas by going to courses.letu.edu and signing in with your LeTourneau account. Also check out the Canvas section of another video that we made called Top Resources for LeTu students to learn more about Canvas. Okay, that's all I have for you in this video. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this video and through this series. And as always, if you need assistance, you can contact your academic coach and your high school administrators for support. Have a great semester, and I will see you next time.